question for you. What do you consider to be creative or artistic? Because traditionally that question's been about, people are talking about literature, writing, the visual arts, sculpting. So anything having to do with your hands, with your five basic senses, hands, the things that you're making or molding or painting or whatever. Sound, the auditory aspects of creativity. When taste, gastronomy. So there are all the different senses that are related to the creations that come from it. But I want you to think about it differently. Because creativity, as a matter of fact, there are only two types of creativity that occurs. We are all aware of procreation. That is giving birth to. That's giving birth to a child, bringing something new into the world. So that's one form of creation. That's procreation. The second form of creation is creativity. The process of conceiving something, a new idea from the base layer ideas or the base layer thoughts and understandings that you currently have. That's the second level of creativity. And that creativity spans every space that has brought us to where we are today, meaning every creation, everything, every visual aspect of what's been built around us and formed or structured has been a mental process. So it's all the same. You see, first you have to have the mental understanding before you can move that mental understanding through the body in the physical form and bring it to fruition through the things that you're actually creating itself, whether it is the sculpture or whether it's the mathematical formula, whether it's the idea for coming up with a new solution, the idea for coming up with the solution of, for example, Uber, and creating a solution to the challenges of one side, not having enough vehicles or taxi cabs available to do the pickups, but on the other side of that, people having a car available but needing additional income. So those are two different types of aspects of creativity or creation itself. I work with the mental aspect of creation because there's a process associated with that. And the most important thing to understand is that mental energy is expensive. It's exorbitantly expensive, but yet we waste our mental energy on the things that we do on an average day, not recognizing that it is harmful. They say it's not harmful. It's harmless, but these things and the places in which we give our energy to, the phone is one major factor, one major thing that we give our energy to. Sports, watching television and watching the numerous games that we're seeing because it's been part of our tradition, part of our upbringing, part of our understanding that this is what we do, that this is the thing that I'm interested in. But it comes at a cost. Because I want you to think about that. Think about the fact that we operate on about 21, 22, 100 calories per day. And that's the food that we take in through the things that we eat. So we consume the calories are burned through the physical activities that we're involved in. But consider the fact that the brain consumes about 20% of the total calories that we actually take into our body. And then break that further down into the fact that thinking burns energy. You see, think about it this way. Again, 2,100 calories per day, but 400 of those calories are dedicated towards thought. And each of those 400 calories, when you go to sleep and you wake up the next morning, those calories start over again, which means whatever you didn't burn in the prior day effectively, they're lost. Thinking consumes vast amounts of energy, and the more you direct that thought, the more energy you burn. That's why you remember maybe coming out of your exams from college and you were tired and you were hungry because you were burning energy through the process of thought itself. So I'm thinking about this one image right here, and it shows a young man. The young man is sitting there with his, with his phone in his hand, but also watching TV. He's just zoned out. He's got his food around, but I'm also thinking about what he's involved in, social media and other things as he's sitting on that couch watching that TV. And then look at the efficiency of energy that man is employing. This man is completely driven towards social media, towards entertainment. It's one-way feed of information, not a lot of processing going on there. Just relaxing, chilling, so there's no exertion of energy there in a mental way. That right there is an example of very inefficient energy, because most of what he's doing, he's operating on autopilot. I mean, he's just moving through and consuming information. but it's mindless information. It's things that aren't adding value to his life other than the personal values that he may have associated with it. So look at the tremendous amount of energy that he's actually consuming from the standpoint of the calories that he's taking in. The autopilot task. He's doing nothing. Everything's moving on autopilot. He's not even having to think about the task or the emotional processing. He's excited about the games and everything else that he's watching, whatever. He's getting into that, but then that's still emotional processing. That's what he's doing there. Idle thoughts. He's not spending time in a directed way outside of the things that aren't necessarily adding value. We can't tell based on a picture alone, but they're not necessarily adding value to his life. Social processing. He's not really engaged with many people during this time. He's just sitting there problem solving. There's no problems being solved right here. Creative thinking. He's not involved in creative thinking at all. He's simply, again, consuming. He's not producing, he's consuming. And reflective thinking. So we can all see that, for example, when it comes to the major burners of calories of energy with respect to the way we exhibit and we experience our lives. Those are the big value adds to where you're trying to go. So, for example, if you're spending time in all those lower level areas, then you're building something. You're building understandings. You're building new directions and new opportunities or path forward. But the more you're spending time on those top things, those socially related things, the things that aren't adding value to your life, then the more you are burning a non-renewable resource and moving on to the next day and doing the same exact thing, which means that you're not moving your life forward in any productive way. And we only have X number of days within the course of our lives to create what we're seeking to create. It's all possible, but it requires that focused level of attention, which means it requires us reevaluating where we are, where we want, and becoming comfortable with the outcomes that we're seeking, therefore the energy that we're exerting towards those outcomes. You can't have it all ways. So this is just one post, just getting you to think about the idea of energy, mental energy, the exertion of that mental energy towards a specific task, outcome, or objective that you're seeking to achieve. Because that is the first part of leveraging and managing this vast resource that you have and the number of things that you're trying to do within the rest of the course of your life. You see, adaptability is one of the most important things that we can ever harness. Being able to move, to shift, to change, especially in what's happening in today's world. And creativity is all about adaptivity. It's about being able to create new solutions or changes to an environment that you see that you're facing right today. So again, thank you for coming into this post. Just wanted to give a real brief update. Have a great day. And as normal, I add clarity to the obvious things. Cheers.